So wherever they hold the inventory, the entire building rent, whatever the business is paying, so that will be included in the holding cost. So the shortage cost means, so when the business runs out of stock for various reasons, so that we call it as the shortage cost. So while the inventory carrying cost is seldom considered while calculating the gross profit, we usually take into account only the principal cost of goods held in the warehouse. Hello everyone, I'm Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all to the session. In this session 3 of Unit 4, we will be discussing about the different types of inventory cost. Now let us see what are the different types of inventory costs here. Ordering, holding, carrying, shortage and spoilage costs make up some of the main categories of the inventory related costs. So whenever we have decided to hold a huge inventory, it will carry various costs. Now we have this classification of this inventory cost. So we can classify them as the ordering cost, holding cost, carrying cost, shortage and spoilage cost. So they are the main categories of costs involved in holding the inventory. These groupings broadly separate the many different inventory costs that exist, and below we will identify and describe some examples of the different types of cost in each category. Now let us see what are the different types of costs involved in each of the category here. The other requires a certain amount of calculation to understand the impact it has on your gross profit. Let us look at the different types of costs here. Now, first one is the ordering cost. Now, what do we mean by ordering cost? It includes payroll taxes, benefits and the wages of the procurement department, labor cost, etc. These costs are typically included in an overhead cost pool and allocated to the number of units produced in each period. So, it includes the payroll taxes, benefits and the wages of the procurement department. So, for the procurement or for the purchase department, whatever your taxes you are paying and whatever the wages you are paying, all that will be included. Then the labor cost, that is unloading and unloading the materials. So these costs are typically included in the overhead cost pool and allocated to the number of units produced in each period. So all these costs will be included in the ordering cost. So it includes the transportation cost of goods, the cost of finding suppliers and expediting the orders. Now you cannot right away order somebody to supply the goods. So you have to have a comparison of various quotations and then you have to order. So what is the cost of finding the suppliers? Then the receiving cost. So once you receive the order, then again you will have to have an inspection of the goods and then you have to stock it. Then clerical cost of preparing purchase orders. Now you will be having so many clerks who will be purchasing the orders. So what is the cost of having them on the job, paying them salaries? So all that will be included. Then cost of electronic data interchange. So whatever is the electronic data interchange, so the cost involved, all these are a part of the ordering cost. Next, we have the holding cost, inventory holding cost. This is simply the amount of rent a business pays for the storage area where they hold the inventory. So wherever they hold the inventory, the entire building rent, whatever the business is paying, so that will be included in the holding cost. So this can be either the direct rent the company pays for all the warehouses put together, or a percentage of the total rent of the office area utilized for storing inventory. So it can be the direct rent, or it is the percentage of the total rent of the office area utilized for storing the inventory. So it includes the inventory services cost, inventory risk cost. So what is the risk involved in holding the inventory? Then the opportunity cost, that is the money invested in the inventory. So that money, if you had invested it elsewhere, so what would your return be? So that we call it as the opportunity cost. Then we have the storage space cost. So whatever is the space involved, so how you will be calculating, so what is the amount of space the stock will be occupying, and based on that you calculate the storage space cost. Then the inventory financing cost. So how do you finance the inventory? Whether you are buying it on your profits, or whether you are borrowing and then buying the inventory. So all the costs involved in financing the inventory. So all this become a part of the holding cost. Next, we have the shortage cost. It is also known as the stock out cost, and it occurs when businesses become out of stock for various reasons. So the shortage cost means, so when the business runs out of stock for various reasons, so that we call it as the shortage cost. Some of these reasons are emergency shipment cost. So when the shipment has arrived and there is a cost involved, so that is a part of the shortage cost. Then disrupted production cost. So the production has come to a standstill because there is no raw materials to produce. So that is a disrupted production cost. Then we have the customer loyalty and reputation. So when business runs out of stock and there is a customer who is ordering, so he wants the goods immediately. So this will hamper the reputation of the business. So what is the cost of this run out? So because of the shortage of cost, so the business will lose its reputation and customer loyalty. So all this become a part of the shortage cost. The next we have the spoilage cost. So perishable inventory stock can rot or spoil if not sold in time. So controlling inventory to prevent spoilage is essential. So in order to see that whatever stocks you are having, you should it should not be spoiled, or it should not be, if it is a perishable product, we have to take care to see that the stock does not spoil immediately. So products that expire are concern for many industries. Industries such as the food and beverage, pharmaceuticals, healthcare, and cosmetic industries are affected by the expiration and use by dates of their products. So for all the food products, cosmetics, healthcare products, and pharmaceuticals, etc., so they have this expiry date. So within the expiry date, the raw materials have to be used, and within the expiry date, the finished goods have to be sold. Otherwise, they will face lot of losses. Then next we have the carrying cost. Now what are these carrying costs? It is a lesser known aspect of the inventory cost. It requires a certain amount of calculation to understand the extent of its impact on your profit and loss statement. So what is the impact of this carrying cost on the profit and loss statement? So that we call it as the carrying cost. It refers to the amount of interest a business loses out on the unsold stock value lying in the warehouses. So what is the unsold stock lying in the warehouses? So that cost will be included in the carrying cost of the business. So business owners often miss out on understanding the impact of the above factors while calculating the impact the inventory has on their business. So most of the business houses, they do not give a thought for this carrying cost. So they just think that if they have more stock, they can have more sales, but they are not bothered about the carrying cost of the stock. The inventory holding cost does show up as part of the rental expense in the profit and loss statement. So whatever the rent they are paying, in order to see that whatever the goods they have produced, whatever they are there in the go down, the rent will be shown as an expense in the profit and loss account, but it is a part of the carrying cost. So while the inventory carrying cost is seldom considered while calculating the gross profit, we usually take into account only the principal cost of goods held in the warehouse. So this inventory carrying cost, most of us don't take into consideration at all while calculating the gross profit. We only take into consideration the principal cost of goods held in the warehouse. Then next concept is the reorder level. So what is this reorder level? So it is the level at which the inventory has to be reordered. So you go in for a new fresh supply of the raw materials, whatever is needed for production. Now, a reorder level is the point at which businesses order new stock from the supplier. In most cases, each SKU will have a specific reorder point which is met when the number of SKUs in storage falls to a predetermined level. So, what is this SKU? So, SKU means the stock keeping units. So, stock keeping units in the organization, they will have a specific reorder point. So, when the stock level reaches a specific point, then it will be time for reorder. So, once the SKU reaches this level, stock should be replenished as soon as possible. So, when the stocks fall to a certain level, they have to be replenished. So, the reorder level of stock is the fixed stock level that lies between the maximum and minimum stock level. Now, we have the maximum stock level and the minimum stock level, and between this we have a point that we call it as the reorder level. So, this is the level at which the reorder has to be placed for the fresh supply of raw materials. At the reorder stock level, an order for replenishment of stock should be placed. In other words, it is the level of inventory at which a new purchase order should be placed. It is generally higher than the minimum level to cover any emergencies that may arise as a result of abnormal usage of materials or unexpected delay in obtaining the first supply. So, when it will be usually higher than the minimum level. So, why we have to have this minimum level? Because below that, suppose we just reach the minimum level and we don't get a fresh supply of goods, then the production may have to stop, or it may be because of abnormal usage of materials. So, if there is lot of wastage while making use of the raw materials, so that also may be a reason for shortage of stock in the organization. So, in order to avoid this, so the reorder level you will be usually higher than the minimum level of stock held in the organization. Next, fixing the reorder level of stock. So, how do we fix the reorder level of stock in the organization? The first one is material consumption rate. What is the rate at which the material is being consumed? Second one is the margin of safety. So, what is the margin of safety? What is the safety level at which the stock has to be maintained in the organization? Then normal delivery time or the lead time. So, what is the lead time? That is, what is the time taken for the raw material to get converted into a finished product? Then minimum stock level to be maintained. So, what is the minimum level which will be maintained in the organization? Cost of storage and interest on capital used in the materials. So, what is the cost of storage and interest on capital used in the materials? Then provision for emergencies, that is supply chain disruptions. So, based considering all these factors, we will be fixing the reorder level of stock. Next, what is the formula for calculating the reorder level of stock? So, the reorder level of stock is calculating using the following formula. So, what is the formula here? The reorder level of stock equals maximum consumption per day or per week into maximum delivery time. So, what is the maximum consumption of stock every day or every week into you multiply it by the maximum delivery time, then you will get the reorder level. Another formula that can be used is reorder level of stock equals minimum stock plus average consumption during the normal delivery time. So, what is the minimum stock? To this, you add the average consumption during the normal delivery time. So, you get the reorder level of stock. So, choosing which formula to use depends on the information you are given in the problem. So, whether you use this formula or this formula, both are valid. So, it all depends on what is the kind of information you are given in the problem. So, when calculating the reorder level of stock, it is worth noting that it is revised periodically by considering the factors that are likely to change the supply and demand for goods. So, this reorder level, we should see that it is revised periodically. So why it is revised periodically? Because of the changes in the supply and demand of the goods. Next, reordering level and the minimum stock level. So some accountants do not differentiate between the ordering level and the minimum stock level, but others draw a distinction between the two. So the ordering level is lower, since when it is fixed, no allowance is made for the margin of safety. So next one, let us understand what do we mean by quality management. Quality-based strategies focus on satisfying the customer by integrating quality in phases of the organization. So, quality-based strategies focus on satisfying the customer. So, we have the branded goods. So, these branded goods are there. So, they have a monopoly over the brands. So, why these brands are being created? So, they have this exclusive quality of satisfying the customer. That whenever the customer goes for a particular brand of products, so he will be satisfied because he will be assured of the quality of the product and the durability, and he will be satisfied with the designs, etc. So for all these reasons, the customer will prefer one brand over the other. Now, here quality management becomes very, very important. So whenever you are having a brand of goods, it is essential for the company to have this quality management. This includes not only the final product or service provided to the customer, but also the related processes such as product or service design, production, and after sales service. So the quality management not only includes the quality of the product, but it also includes the service design. So what is the services you are giving to the customer when he is buying the product, and also the after sales service. So what kind of after sales service you are giving. So all this gets included in the quality management. The best firms emphasize designing quality into the process, thereby greatly reducing the need for inspection or quality control efforts, reducing the need for inspection or quality control efforts. The least progressive firms. So, some of the firms, they are reducing the need for inspection or quality control efforts, but there are certain least progressive, they rely heavily on inspection. So, in between the best companies and least progressive firms, there are many firms which employ some amount of inspection and a great deal of quality control, in including the process control. So, quality control, process control. So, the highly progressive firms have achieved an inherent level of quality which is sufficiently high that they can avoid inspection totally and even process control activities. Now, this quality control has become the one of the most important aspect for quality management. So, there are certain firms, the progressive firms which rely heavily on inspection, and there are those companies which don't rely on inspection, but this kind of inspection is included in the process, production process itself. So they have achieved an inherent level of quality which is sufficiently high that they avoid inspection totally and even the process control. So even process control they avoid, and even the quality control they avoid, because the production process is so very high and it is very highly sophisticated. Then next, let us see what is the nature of inspection. Inspection has been defined as the function whose purposes are to interpret the specification, verify conformance to these specifications, and communicate the information obtained to those responsible for making necessary corrections in the manufacturing process. Now, inspection. What do we mean by inspection? It is the process of interpreting specification, verify conformance to the specification. Now, you have a specification for each product. Now, you just have to check whether the product is passing all the specifications and communicate the information obtained to those responsible for making the necessary corrections in the manufacturing process. So, if there is any deviation in the quality or any deviation in the specification, then you have to inform to all those involved in the manufacturing process. So quality may be defined as the sum total of features of the product which influence its ability to satisfy a given demand. So quality is nothing but all those features of a product which satisfy the customer and which is the main quality for which the product has been demanded. Basically, the quality of products and services is not defined or determined by the producing firms, it is determined by the customers. So it will be usually determined by the customers. The quality of product or service is a customer perception of the degree to which the product or service meets his or her expectation. So usually, if you can see here, the quality will be the product of the service is the customer perception of the degree to which it meets his expectations. So if the product meets the expectations of the customer, then he will term it as good quality. So it is usually a customer perception. Then next, let us analyze what are the dimensions of the product. So the first dimension is the performance. How will the product or service perform and meet the customer's intended use? So first thing, when we are looking for inspection, the first thing will be the performance of the product. So it involves how will the product or service perform. For example, the speed of a sports car. A sports car is purchased because of its speed. So if it gives a very good speed, then we say that it has a very good performance. Then next one is the features, the special characteristics that appeal to the customers. For example, the power steering of an automobile. The features of the product which appeal to the customer. Then third one is the reliability, the likelihood of breakdowns, malfunctions or need for repairs. So how far you can be reliable on this kind of a product. So what are the various times at which there is a breakdown or what is the malfunction or need for repairs? Higher reliability, lesser will be the likelihood of breakdowns, malfunctions and better will be the quality of the product. So we need to be reliable on the product. So if you are reliable, so to be reliable, the product should have lesser breakdowns and lesser malfunctions and lesser need for repairs. Then the next dimension of the product is the serviceability. The speed, cost and convenience of repairs and maintenance. Higher the serviceability, better will be the quality of the product. So the speed, cost and convenience of repairs and maintenance, so they are all included in the services. Then appearance, the effect on human senses, the look, feel or smell, sound, etc. So what is the appearance of the product and how it appeals to the human beings? So that becomes important. And we have the customer service, the treatment received by the customers before, during and after the safety, how well the product protects the users before, during and after the use. So all these are part of the dimensions of the product for which there has to be inspection. So with this, we come to the end of this session. Hope you have all followed it. Thank you.